guys, this is Tarot with Kittens, Weights, and Tarot, and today I just wanted to do a little bit of a story time. I didn't make a video on Monday, so this is going out on Tuesday, because, well, we had a little bit of some interesting things happening Sunday evening and on Monday. So Sunday evening, my boyfriend went out into the garage to go cut film. He cuts these large pieces of film to place on residential and commercial window glass or glass. So he was cutting his film for the work week, and he thought a skunk was walking into the garage. It was actually a big black cat, so almost looked like a panther, like big yellow eyes. He says maybe 16 to 18 pounds. Like, this was a big kitty, much bigger than Wally. And so this cat comes in, just starts rubbing on him, purring just out of nowhere, and he's like, who is this cat? As I'm looking down, like, little Wally's like listening, like, ooh. So this cat's like, you know, purring, meowing, and then my boyfriend calls me and he's like, could you come out into the garage? I'm like, okay. So I come out into the garage and this cat comes running towards me, almost like Wally does, and just like starts rubbing on me, just purring, flopping on its side, showing me its tummy. I'm like petting its tummy, petting its head, petting its ears, and it reminds me so much of Wally. And I'm like, oh my gosh, is there another cat like Wally? And whose cat is this? You know, it had a little plaid like bow collar with a little bell, but there wasn't any there wasn't a tag or anything on it. We're trying to get it to go home or something, you know, but then I told my boyfriend, you know, it's late at night, I don't know whose cat this is, and we have a lot of coyotes in the area, so if we leave it, you know, chances are it's gonna get eaten, because that's kind of what just happens in our area. You know, when somebody loses a cat or a dog, it winds up getting eaten by the coyotes in the area. So this was a very friendly cat. I didn't want that to happen to this cat. So I told my boyfriend, well, what if we maybe keep it in one of the rooms? Obviously not to roam our house, because I don't know if it has fleas or something like that. So my boyfriend was looking, he thought it was a girl, turns out it was a boy, but so we kept referring to him as her. And so my boyfriend was saying that the cat looked almost exactly like his cousin's cat. His cousin has you know, passed away back in December, and she had to give her cat named Midnight to her best friend, because, you know, she was dying of cancer. We're like, oh my gosh, it looks just like Midnight. So I go to open the door to come into the house, and the cat comes like jogging into the house, starts walking around like, what's up? Like, the cat thinks that it lives with us, you know, and it's like rubbing on us and just like stretching and rolling and just like, yay, just like so happy. I'm like, okay, we can't have you roam around the house because I don't know if you have fleas. So we picked it up, it let us pick it up, and it flopped over our shoulder just like Wally does. And I was like, this is so interesting. But there's one thing it was doing that Wally doesn't do, and that's bonk. You know, when cats like bonk your head, you know, Wally doesn't do that, just because when he was little, he had he was of a litter, he was the only boy in a litter of girls, so those girls used to bite him in the face and like antagonize him, and just, they were really mean to his head. So he has a thing about like bonking his head with your head, but he'll bonk your leg, you know, he'll bonk your hand, he'll bonk your body, just not your head, and that's fine. But my boyfriend really misses head bonks, and the one that was really good head bonker was our old cat Presley. And actually, the anniversary of his passing is coming up next month, at the end of the month, on the 28th. And so I kind of jokingly said, well, what if Presley sent this cat by just to give you some bonks for an evening? Like, maybe not to keep the cat, but, you know, some bonks for the evening. He's like, maybe. So anyway, we put it in the guest bedroom. Wally was not happy that there was an intruder in his house, so he kept pacing back and forth in front of that door and just like growling, like all this growling underneath, you know, and his fur was ridging at one point, and then he like calmed down, but he was just growling. He was just like I don't want anybody in my home. Wally's actually over there watching right now. He's like, tell that story, Mom, tell it like it is. We have a spare litter box and we had some extra litter, so I poured some litter in the box. We gave it a litter box up here. We spread out a blanket, which we now have to wash, you know, but like give it some bedding. We gave him some water, like a little bowl of water, a little bowl of Wally's food. We gave it wet food at first because we weren't sure, and it didn't really want to eat the wet food, but you know, to be honest, Wally doesn't like wet food either. You know, I ate it up, and then I gave it a good amount of Wally's kibble, and it ate almost all of it, whereas Wally will just eat a little bit because it's really filling. So we knew that the cat was really hungry. He was, I keep wanting to call him a she. He was really thirsty, seemed to like be overjoyed that it got to use a litter box, you know, and the fur kind of felt like it had been outside for a while. The fur was kind of dirty. It had a little scar by its mouth. The breath was a little stinky. I know you guys are probably like, all cats have stinky breath, but there is a type of stinkiness where you know that there's a little bit of dental problems there. So we're like, okay, so maybe have some little bit of dental problems. It's obviously been outside for quite some time. And my boyfriend was angry that it had a bell around its neck, and he says, you know, basically some owners put bells on their cats not only to know where they're at, but also so that they don't catch the birds, you know, so it scares away the birds when they're trying to prey on birds, so that they're not like killing every bird in the neighborhood. And so this is if you're letting a cat outside, which I'm not big on letting cats outside. I know some people are like, oh, that's its wild nature, but you know, they're domesticated cats, and it has been proven that cats that are outside live much shorter lives than cats that are indoors. You know, so they could catch diseases, they could get into fights with other cats, they could, you know, get eaten by something, they could get hit by a car, and that's just stuff that, oh no, I don't want to happen to Wally, you know, so. And that's just my personal thing. I don't like cats being outdoors. I mean, Wally goes outdoors, but he's on a harness with us. Cat was kind of like, wow, 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 like kind of yowling because it wanted to hang out with us. We'd come back in the room and it would just be so full of love and like rub my tummy and look at me rolling around. And it was really the sweetest cat ever. And it kept wanting to bonk us in the head. And I've never met, outside of Wally and Presley, like the friendliest cat ever. And we're like, this is somebody's cat, but you know, we'll give it room and board for tonight, you know. And then in the morning I said that I wanted to take it down to the vet. My boyfriend's like, well, let's see if it wants to go home, you know. He goes, I bet it bolts. And I was like, I think it doesn't. In the morning, my boyfriend put the cat outside. The cat instantly ran back in the house. He put the cat back outside again. It waited at the door and proceeded to yowl and meow to come back in the house. And then I had to open up the garage because I had to get my truck started, and you know, so I can go to work. And then like the cat wanted to come to work with me, and I'm like, no. When I came home from work, we put the fluffy little fur ball into Wally's carrier, took it down to his vet clinic. Oh, speaking of Wally, here's Mr. Juanito. Yeah. So took the little boy down to Wally's vet, and I wanted to see if he was microchipped. He was microchipped, so they were able to get a hold of the owners. The owners weren't really looking for him, and they didn't seem like they were stoked at all that I had brought their cat in. So, but yeah, they said just for me to leave the cat at the vet, and then the owners said that they were going to be stopping by to pick him up. So it was kind of a sad goodbye because he was so sweet, and I was like, does Wally need a little brother? The owner said that his name was Loki. Yes, he is a boy, and yeah, the vet actually had to describe their cat to them, and they were like, oh yeah. I guess it was like, I guess we'll pick it up. And I'm like, see, I'm like, I have a feeling that cat's gonna come back around. I don't know why. And even the vets were like, we have a feeling that cat's gonna try to find your house again. I was like, So anyway, I was kind of, hoping beyond hope that, that they wouldn't be able to find the owners. But then I'm thinking, you know, it's the right thing to do to try to find the owners of this cat, because it was somebody's cat, and I would want somebody to do the same. You know, if we ever lost Wally, Wally got out or something, which has happened once before when our house was broken into, but Wally waited in the next door neighbor's yard for us, you know. So once we found him, he was like, I'm right here. I would want somebody to be honest and, you know, return Wally, or say, hey, you know, scan his chip and say, we found him, you know, or, but I was just kind of sad that we had to give Loki back. We were trying to come up with names because we thought it was a girl, like Midnight or Polly. That way it could be Polly and Wally, you know, so anyway. And I was even pulling my cards last night and pulling some cards this morning. I'm like, can we keep it? And all the cards are like, no. I was like, is it gonna go back home? The cards are like, yes. I'm like, oh, can we just keep him a little bit? But yeah, and the people at the vet were very thankful. They, you know, were thanking me and saying, you know, we did the right thing, and it's good to, you know, they were saying it was really kind to, you know, take him off the street. You know, obviously at night it is very dangerous, especially in our neighborhood with all the wildlife that we have. And, you know, to give him something to eat, something to drink, a place to use the restroom, a place, you know, roof over his head for the evening. So they were like, yeah, you know, and then you brought him in and we were able to contact the owners. They're like, so this is good. And I'm like, yeah. So anyway, I thought I would just share this story with you guys, and how, you know, sometimes with tarot cards, when you're really, really, really jonesing for an outcome, a certain outcome, and, you know, the card's laid out like it is. It's like, the card's like, no, even though my ego is like, well, maybe that could be something. So, I don't know, it kind of let, my boyfriend and I were thinking that maybe our old cat did send that cat over, not to be ours, but just for a little time to feel like Presley was there, to give us those bonks that we so desperately miss. And so I guess the point of this video is just to tell you guys that messages and come to us in so many different ways, that spirit, whether that's a passed over loved one or a passed over fur baby, you know, that they're always talking to us and they're always finding ways to send messages to us. And so I miss, well, my boyfriend definitely, we both miss Presley so much, you know, and it's been, well, Wally's 4 years old now, so it's been 4 years. We miss him a ton, and I miss those bonks, and I know that he was behind sending this beautiful panther-like cat over to us for those bonks. So I'm interested to hear, like, maybe your animal stories where you knew that, you know, maybe a passed over fur baby that's made it over the Rainbow Bridge was behind a certain animal coming into your life, even if momentarily. I just thought I would share this with you guys. But anyway, I will catch you all later, and peace, love, and chicken grease. Peace out.